brothers. And plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, you could call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hooked on the brothers. Yo, you're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. You're ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Coopers, the Troopers, the Princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll get hooked on the brothers to the bridge.
Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and mamma mia, I'm discussing the Super Mario Bros. Movie, written by Matthew Fogel and directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic. I went into this movie with mixed expectations, which is kind of a first. Usually for me, it's either like high or low expectations, just depending on all of the marketing and everything. And with this movie, the reason my expectations were mixed were because I was excited based on the visuals, of course, when this was first announced, and then when they showed the little teaser trailer. And then, of course, there were mixed reactions, too, about the casting of this movie. The internet was not happy about the casting of Chris Pratt as Mario, but the internet was very happy about the casting of Jack Black as Bowser. And you know what? Honestly, I thought Chris Pratt was really, he did not phone it in, I feel. Like, he did a good job. You could tell with this whole movie that there's so much passion in it. There's so many Easter eggs. Like, everyone who worked on it, you can tell, has a love of these characters, of the world, of the franchise, of the Super Mario Brothers. And since this is such a beloved video game, spanning generations since the 80s, so many video games, so many video game consoles, so many characters, playing it hours and hours and hours throughout our childhood, for all of us. And then people with kids then, playing, having it from their childhood, now their kids playing these Mario games. So that's just really awesome. And what made me excited also about this movie was seeing the actors giving interviews about it, and Chris Pratt addressed the criticism of it, of his casting, and basically what he said was, look, I get it. I mean, this is a beloved franchise, and you're used to that voice by Charles Martinet with his wahoo, his little let's go, okie dokie, his little few catchphrases that he has. And Charles Martinet actually is in this movie. He plays their dad. I didn't realize that until the credits. I was like, oh, Charles Martinet, hey, cool. He also voiced the character Giuseppe in this movie, who's that guy at the beginning at the pizza parlor, who's actually based on Jumpman, the original Mario before Mario in that Donkey Kong arcade game. So that's really cool too. And also, Charles Martinet, he plays Mario, he also plays Luigi, he plays also Wario and Luigi. Oh man. Listen, I'm excited for the sequel, which I feel is inevitable. Multiple sequels to this movie, where hopefully they'll introduce Wario, Waluigi, Daisy, Toadette, so many other characters that are from the video games that I'm sure we'll see in sequels for this movie. So, so that's really cool. So all that to say is that I thought he did a great job as Mario, and I really thought all of the portrayals of all the characterizations of the characters I thought were great. I loved Charlie Day. I love Charlie Day, period. Just that's its own statement. Charlie Day is my number 2 celebrity crush. My first is Jake Johnson, aka Nick Miller from New Girl. Charlie Day's number 2. I just love his whole vibe. He's just so talented too, though. He's a great musician. He's just so funny, charismatic. He's hilarious as Charlie Kelly on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's awesome, Charlie Day, so talented. He has another movie coming out that he wrote and directed. I'm excited to check that out too, called Fool's Paradise. So I liked the whole dynamic of Mario and Luigi, and going into this too, I knew it was going to be so nostalgic, and the most nostalgic things for me obviously were all the music, paying tribute to so many different games, the little visual Easter eggs, which I'm sure rewatching it, there'll be so many other things that I had missed the first time, just in the background and stuff, because there's just so much, again, spanning so many generations with all these games. And I just have so much fondness for the Super Mario Brothers games, playing it over my grandma's house with my cousins, playing different games with my friends. So many, just so many wonderful childhood memories of all of that. And that's just, everyone, of course, has their memories of playing Mario, whether, as a kid or just to this day, so that's just so wonderful. And the theater, I went opening day, it was packed. And I haven't been to a packed movie theater since pre-pandemic. And to be fair, though, I don't go to movie theaters that often, only a couple times a year, if that, depends, but still, I haven't been in a theater that was packed since pre-pandemic. So that was a lot of fun. There were people dressed up. There was like a little girl dressed up as Mario, which is so damn cute. Oh my gosh, I was like, come on. There was someone was dressed up as Yoshi. I love Yoshi, oh my goodness. Speaking of, if you stayed through the end of the credits, that the little tease of a Yoshi egg hatching and just Yoshi. I was like, hell yeah. Also, everyone applauded at the end. It was a really fun movie-going experience. So there were people wearing Mario caps, Mario and Luigi caps. There were also at this theater, there were people they had popcorn and then it was in a gold dye block, which was very cute. I was like, oh, that's fun. So overall, despite my mixed expectations, I was still excited for the nostalgia and just for the visuals of this movie. What I was unsure about personally was just kind of the story and a little bit maybe the humor. I was like, well, ultimately, knowing that this is a movie for kids, and of course, but then I had so much fun with it. I was smiling. It was just so sweet. The brotherly love between Mario and Luigi, I absolutely loved that, because they so could have gone the opposite way where they had kind of a rivalry, maybe Luigi was jealous of Mario or something. They could have just done that. They could have done the classic route of Mario has to go save the princess. But I like that it was different in the sense that it makes more sense emotionally that Mario has to go save his brother who he loves and would do anything for. And it was just so cute of him saying that as long as we're together it'll all be okay. It was just very cute. Oh, I liked all that. And of course, playing into the whole gag of the accents too at the beginning, and then him being like, oh, you didn't think the accent was too much, with their Super Mario Brothers plumbing. It was cute. I liked all that. And, it is just so funny that, they're Italian plumbers from Brooklyn. And, I love that about Mario, the character, because, of course, the whole Super Mario Brothers franchise was created by Shigeru Miyamoto, and he was involved with the production of this movie. Nintendo was involved with illumination throughout all the steps of production, so that's really cool, too, which makes sense, too, because it's taking that world and bringing it to life in theaters, And so it really did feel like certain parts, of course, with all the battle stuff, you feel like you're watching the video games a little bit, It's so fun. Even in the beginning too, when they're running through Brooklyn and Mario's helping out Luigi, and then he jumps and it's sliding down the flagpole and it says Castle Diner. I liked all that. I was like, oh, there you go. And even the music too, just in the classic Super Mario Brothers All-Stars games. Oh my gosh, all the amazing memories of playing those games for hours and hours. Personally, my all-time favorite game is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. That's why I was like, oh, they showed Yoshi's for a second. I was like, oh man, I love Yoshi. He's so cute. I can't wait to see what they have planned for Yoshi in a sequel. I'm very excited. We'll see. But also, Toad was great too, played by Keegan-Michael Key. That was just so good. And Bowser too. Jack Black, obviously, you could tell had such a blast voicing Bowser. His performance as Bowser was so good, just the intensity of it, but then the soft side of Bowser, that he's pining for Princess Peach and he wrote the song about her. It was so funny. And then his right hand man, the Koopa sorcerer Kamek, voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, their dynamic, maybe it's because I have bias because I've recently been watching The Simpsons, but their dynamic reminded me so much of Mr. Burns and Smithers, where Smithers is secretly in love with Mr. Burns and he just would do anything for him. It felt like this Comac guy was just, he was dressed up as Peach, having a moment with Bowser. I was like, yeah, okay, I think I ship it. I'm here for it. Oh my gosh. Also, Bowser just, yanking at, pulling at Luigi's mustache. It was just oh no, poor Luigi, poor little scaredy cat Luigi. When at the beginning when Mario is telling him he can't be scared all the time, and then Luigi's oh, you'd be surprised. Goodness. Also, I just really loved the flashback of little baby Luigi, and baby Mario. Like when that jerk destroys Luigi's little block castle, and then Mario just, swoops in and saves his brother. Their dynamic a little bit, just kind of like the brave, scared. It reminded me a bit of, I can't help but make the comparison to Tommy and Chucky from Rugrats, and you know how much I love Rugrats, so I don't know, it's just really sweet. Them with their plumbing business, I loved all that. So, the thing is, like, as much as I enjoyed this movie, there are certain things, honestly, for me, story wise, that I felt like could have been, not to be so critical, but just like with Luigi, like just for me personally, I would have liked to have seen more of Luigi other than just being stuck in that little cage. Like maybe them trying to escape somehow, like him trying to rally them all up to escape. Because for the most part, we just see him scared and like waiting for Mario. That said, though, then I liked toward the end when, because I've said this before, that I love when you have scared characters when they have moments of bravery. So I was waiting for that for Luigi. I was like, there's got to be a moment where he saves Mario. And thankfully, there was that moment. Then, like, when he's holding up the sewer cover to protect Mario from Bowser's flames. And then Mario's like, Lou? Like, it was so cute. And he was protecting him. He's like, oh, you said it yourself. As long as we're together, nothing can stop us. That was so sweet. And then they got the star. So many things just reminded me of, again, like playing this game with my cousins, with my friends. Of course, Mario Kart, that whole scene with the Rainbow Road was beautiful. Even the whole montage of Mario, like going through the courses and like learning about the power-ups and stuff, and then he just keeps falling and keeps, like messing up and everything, because that's common with the game. You just, like, especially when you're a little kid playing it, I remember I would get so frustrated, like when I'd be playing it and like just trying to like, beat the level and stuff and keep dying and like, oh goodness, so the whole thing with Mario being this person who never quits is really great, and kind of a bit of the underdog. Like everyone's teasing him like, oh, you're like a small guy and stuff. But then of course you got the Toads, who are even tinier, and they're so darn cute though. But Toad is just so like brave and ready for action, so I loved all that, him with his frying pan. And then of course Princess Peach, voiced by Anya Taylor-Joy, was great too, with her characterization of just like this brave, fearless leader protecting her toads. So that's her motivation, protecting them from Bowser. So I don't know, I mean, like the whole Bowser in love with Peach thing was so funny, because I know there is in one of those games where Bowser's dressed up like wedding Bowser. So funny, oh my goodness. But also I loved like even like the flashbacks of like baby Peach was so cute, her saying like, that was interesting to me too, like her saying like like her earliest memory is just of her in the Mushroom Kingdom. She doesn't realize that she was like a human technically. So like it feels like there could have been more with that a little bit. It feels like also there could have just, like, certainly there could have just been a little bit more. Even the whole thing with Mario saying how, like, his dad doesn't believe in him, like, in the beginning when he's saying, you quit your job to do this, like, what was his job originally then? And then saying, like, oh, and you're bringing your brother down, too. And even the whole thing, like, Mario saying, oh, I hate mushrooms, that's too funny, too. But then, like, when Luigi comes into his room and saying, nah, he's, like, don't listen to him, Mario, you don't bring me down. Like, him cheering him up is cute, like, aw. So again, like, that brotherly love was very, very sweet. Like just certain things like that, because then of course there's the parallel with Donkey Kong, voiced by Seth Rogen, and by the way, DK, Donkey Kong. I was like, hell yeah, that Donkey Kong rap. That game too, Donkey Kong 64. I used to watch my brother play that game for hours and hours, and then we would play like the mini games and stuff too. But again, like all the music, like Super Mario 64, of course the classic, the older games too with that music, and doo 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 doo, all the music, like it's so good. Doo 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 doo. It's all iconic. And like of course the music from Super Mario 64 and Super Mario World, like even seeing like the map, seeing Donkey Kong like in his little clubhouse too, and Cranky Kong, who just kind of, like Donkey Kong like wanting his love. So then like he and Mario kind of bond over that for a second, like just trying to impress my dad, trying to like show him I'm worth something, and like Mario too. So they have that in common, even though Donkey Kong doesn't like Mario, like another antagonist in this. And of course, like all the Koopas, the Goombas. Obviously, there's so many bad guys in the Super Mario games. So like even seeing Boo for a second, King Boo, I loved that. I wore my little Boo earrings, the little ghosts from, like the design was specifically from the Super Mario World games. Like when you're in the ghost house, those levels. Oh man, I love that game so much. That of course for the SNES, and then also there was the version for the Game Boy Advance. Too funny. And like I love Mario Kart too, but I've always honestly loved also like the Super Mario Party games, and of course Super Smash Brothers. Those games, playing those for hours and hours with my friends too. Super Smash Brothers Melee for the GameCube and Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. I used to play, that was like of course the first game with the GameCube. I remember as a kid thinking it was so cool. Like, oh, now it's Luigi having to save Mario instead of Mario having to save Peach. I loved that. I loved like Mario and like, Mario. So like it was cute seeing that in the movie a little bit with Luigi shining the flashlight, him like calling out for Mario. Him just being like neurotic and stuff. I don't know. I liked the characterization too. I would have liked to have seen more with Luigi too, because I just, I love Charlie Day. So, but very endearing too, and just seeing Mario never giving up, so sweet. And then a little bit of the blossoming romance between Mario and Peach. However, that's another criticism I'll say that I have, is that I wanted to see them kiss. I'm always like, anytime there's a romance, like just give us a little kiss, even just the classic little kiss on the cheek and then he would blush, like that's the whole thing with the game too. Like when you save Princess Peach and she gives Mario a little kiss and then like he blushes. Like whatever. So that just would have been cute to see. I mean, there was the little bit when he says like, oh, see, I told you I was going to get you a pet turtle, like when they shrank Bowser. And of course, like when they get the star, the two of them teaming up together to take down Bowser, saving Brooklyn. So it comes back to that. So that's so cute too. My cousin would always be like when you play the Super Mario Party games, when she gets the star, she'd be like, I got the star. I'm telling you, so many memories came flooding back. Amazing, like of all of these games. So good, so iconic, so classic. But yeah, again, too, like the Donkey Kong rap, amazing. Seeing just a glimpse of like Diddy Kong and also Tiny Kong, Chunky Kong, Lanky Kong, that was great too. So like all that stuff. Again, like there's so many amazing characters in this. Also like the bones, like when Luigi kills that bones guy and then he comes back, because that's what happened in the games. Like you crush them and he comes back. And even also like with Kamek, like the sound effects too, like that, just again, like that's directly from Super Mario World. Also I loved that. Even just like walking around in Mushroom Kingdom, seeing all of the toads like getting items, and then like there's a little moment where one of them says like, oh, it's like a vintage thing, as in like one of the old school games. He's like, oh yeah, just blow on it, because like we all did that. You just like blow on the game for a second, just insert the cartridge back in there. Also them like selecting their carts. So like all that cute stuff was just, I really liked all of that. But just, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more with Luigi, but like, it was still great though, the bonds with him and Mario, and just a little bit more with the romance. But, it's just so fun, like all of the fireballs, of course, with the flowers, and with, of course, the Tanuki Mario, like the raccoon. I love that too. A little bit they had the capes at the beginning too in their commercial. I liked how that came back too, like in the commercial when he's like really down then, and then like he sees the commercial, and then like when it turns off and it's just him alone. Like that was very cute. So I liked all that. So like, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. It's just, for me personally, it's like I want to see more, just a little bit more. So hopefully like with the sequels, a little bit more romance, a little bit more with the brothers, so cute, more Bowser, like hell yeah, him singing was just so good. I loved all that. It was just too funny. So it was just a lot of fun, like just visually beautiful, like the scales on Bowser. It was just really, really cool. Of course, like those penguins too from Super Mario 64. Like all that stuff. Wahoo! Like, gosh, like Mario just brings such pure joy playing these games over the years. And so it was so much fun seeing it brought to life on the big screen. I really, really look forward to more. It just truly was just so much fun playing the games, but watching it, it feels like, you're just watching the video game. And of course, like, IPs, like video games turning into movies and TV shows, are really having their moment, because another big one is The Last of Us. Now it's a show on HBO Max. No, I guess just HBO. And that was a video game from like 10 years ago. My brother said he had played it too. And I actually watched the finale at my friend's house at her Oscars, because it was on after the Oscars. So we watched the finale and I liked it based on it. And then her other friend was saying that it's very close to like the game itself, following that narrative. So like video game adaptations into TVs and shows and movies are like really having their moment now, it seems like. Because for the most part, like up until recently, like people would always not exactly have high expectations for turning video games into movies and stuff. But like, I mean, the Sonic movies did really well and stuff. So, you know, I definitely foresee more with the whole, of course, Nintendo universe. And a couple of other things I forgot to mention in terms of Easter eggs. I loved Luigi's ringtone being the start screen for the GameCube. I thought that was really clever. And also that scene with Luigi and Bowser when Bowser is like asking Luigi about Mario in terms of Peach, and they're asking like, oh, would princesses find him attractive? And Luigi says they do if they have good taste, like, you know, being the ultimate wingman. I thought that was just really cute. I thought that was funny. I liked that. And I also wanted to mention I liked the scene with the whole montage training scene to I Need a Hero, which, you know, the licensed music in this movie was kind of a bit jarring to me because it was just kind of like, you know, separate from the Super Mario Nintendo universe. So, but it is what it is. But so, like, you know, holding out for a hero and like Mario trying to complete the course and just keeps dying and stuff, you know. But I like the moment when he like smiles, like as if he's thinking like, yeah, I'm crushing this. Like he's finally getting the hang of it, only to just be snapped by the piranha plant. It's too funny. Also with him like eating the mushroom, and then when he gets sick at one point and then like he gets small again, like I don't know, just like certain visual gags I got a kick out of. It was cute, you know, a lot of fun. Hey, so a couple of things since recording this episode. I actually wrote a post-movie short story that I'm going to share called A Heartfelt Quest, but actually I saw the movie a second time, and you know what? It's even more fun on a second viewing. And also, oddly enough, I appreciate it more in terms of the big picture of this movie and like the themes of it, and also the smaller details, specifically with the characterization of Mario, because the whole theme throughout the movie is what he says early on of people telling him that he can't do things, that he's small because he feels inferior, with his dad not believing in him, and then he's even teased by Peach in the beginning, which is like, oh, you're really small, and then also with Donkey Kong, of course, because he has that complex of trying to impress his dad, and so it makes you feel like all the more that Mario is the underdog. But then also it's him having to prove himself that much more. That, you know what, whatever you guys are saying, it's not going to stop me. I'm going to prove myself, you know? So I do like all of that. Basically not letting anyone say like, oh, like telling you what you can and can't do. Like him saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I'm small. Look what I can do. You know, I don't know. That's a good message for kids. Like, don't let people tell you what you can't do. Like, oh, I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough. You know what? Screw that. And just prove people wrong. So that's a great message that I really liked that. And also with Mario himself, I don't know, when you rewatch things, you get to pick up on details, obviously, that you didn't notice the first time, in terms of just, like, the animation, the visuals and everything. But also, I mean, just, like, certain things with Mario, just kind of like this wise guy persona that I actually really like, specifically towards Donkey Kong. Like, after he defeats Donkey Kong, for instance, and then he and Peach are, like, having a moment, and he's, like, you know, he's got the ice pack on his cheek, and then Donkey Kong just barrels in saying, oh, I let him win, and Mario's like, really? Why would you do that? And then later, when they get swallowed by that monster thing, and then, of course, like, when Donkey Kong opens up saying, well, at least, like, you're not going to die with your dad thinking you're a joke. And then Mario says, actually, my dad does think that. And then Donkey Kong's like, well, he's right, you know, that whole thing. But then when Mario had saved him, and he's like, wow, you saved my life. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. He's like, oh, good. Like, I don't know, I really liked that. That just kind of, I got a kick out of that. And I'd like to see more of that in a sequel. And also I'm realizing, too, that because I'd mentioned, like, I'd like to see more with the romance between Mario and Peach. I'm realizing, like, it's just enough. There's hints of it there. It's just starting out, because even with, again, like, when Donkey Kong, like, blocks Mario when Mario's like, oh, I'll get you, like, you know, I'll take you to, like, come to Brooklyn sometime. She's like, maybe I will. And then Donkey Kong just, like, barrels through again saying, is this you flirting? This is pathetic. And then he's like, a princess would never go out with you. And then Toad saying, oh, I can assure you she would. So again, it's like him defying the odds and, like, you know, not letting what Donkey Kong says deter him. So all of that, again, just kind of makes him more of an underdog, makes you root for him all the more. And this movie, like, it's the hugest, it had the biggest box office opening of any animated movie of all time. I guess unsurprisingly, I mean, it is arguably the biggest video game franchise, Jesus, what am I saying, like chicken franchise? Oh gosh. And also I didn't realize too that guy Spike, that was like their old boss when I guess they had worked for a wrecking company, so that was like their old job. And also, just again, I wanted to see more Luigi. Give me more Luigi in the sequel, please. I need that. Goodness. Like, just even the hint of at the end when Peach is like, oh, you're very brave. He's like, oh yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like, you know. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait for a sequel. I swear. It just was so much fun the second time around. And I loved it the first time too. But I just kind of let go of like my personal criticisms of the story a little bit and just enjoy it for the beautiful visuals and just kind of the like small moments. Fantastic. Just such a joy. So much fun. I can't wait for more. You know, Mario, the games, that's truly just one of the best things in this world in terms of just entertainment and, again, like the hours and hours of joy playing these games. And what a fun movie. I can't wait for more. So with all of that being said, I just was inspired and I wrote a little bit of a post-movie story of things I would like to see and just like, you know, in terms of character interactions, just things I would like to see more of. So it's called A Heartfelt Quest, and here we go. Without further ado, it's story time. So, Mario, are we ever going to address the giant mushroom in the room? Huh? Mario pulled back from the green valve he'd been tightening with his trusty wrench, one of their latest plumbing jobs for the endless array of pipes in the Mushroom Kingdom. He met the inquisitive eyes of his younger brother, whose brow furrowed in a way that mirrored an impatient look of their dad's he knew all too well. Scratching the back of his head with the wrench, he looked around. Mushrooms every which way, tall and spongy and vibrant. No offense, Lou, but I think you may have a screw or two loose, Mario said, using the wrench to gesture around them. There are giant mushrooms everywhere. No, I know that. I was trying to make a joke. Luigi shook his head. Never mind, it didn't land. What I meant was, are we ever going to address the figurative giant mushroom in the room? Ah, Mario said, turning back to the valve to finish tightening it. And that would be, well, it's about Princess Peach. The typical trepidation in Luigi's voice sounded different this time, like he was purposely being cautious about broaching the subject. What about her? Mario asked, withdrawing the wrench and grabbing the valve to test his handiwork. A little twist to the right, and... well... Luigi's voice went up, hesitating, when suddenly... You're in love with her, right? What? Mario's hands pulled the valve so fast that the pressure went up too high, and a rush of water came spewing out to douse Luigi before he knew what hit him. Literally. Luigi! Mario scrambled to shut off the valve as the force of the gushing water sent a screaming Luigi flying backward until... thwack! He smacked into the squishy stem of red mushroom. Mario hastily twisted the valve in the opposite direction until the water pressure stopped, and all that remained of the mishap was some extra watered grass and his sopping wet brother. Luigi collapsed to the ground on his hands and knees, coughing, while Mario rushed over, swiping up his sodden green cap from the ground along the way and wringing it out. Cripes, Lou, I'm so sorry. You okay? Me? Oh, yeah, Luigi said between coughs. I've been through worse. Mario grabbed his hand, helping him to his feet. He offered him back his damp green hat, which he graciously accepted. Just as much my fault, Luigi said as he wiped away water droplets from his face and placed his hat back on his head. I shouldn't have asked you such a deeply personal question while we're on the job. Didn't mean to catch you off guard. Oh, no, you didn't catch me off guard, Mario said, despite the fact that he'd already seen right through him. You just surprised me a little is all. Totally different. Uh-huh. Sure enough, Luigi's dripping face wore this all-knowing expression all of a sudden, coupled with half-lidded eyes and a sort of playfully warm grin. Now that look he got from their mom. A flutter of nerves burst through Mario's body, prompting him to grab his toolkit. Okay, so this valve's clearly working now, he said through a forced smile. Shall we go to our next repair job? He was already heading off in the direction of the next job on their list before Luigi could respond. He kept a steady pace to his stride, even with his head all in a flurry, thanks to Luigi's question at the forefront of his mind. Where'd that even come from? Why would he assume he was... He shook off the thought, willing himself to put all his focus on work, even as he felt Luigi's presence at his side. "Listen, Mario, I didn't mean to embarrass you," he said, his voice more serious now, straightforward and sincere. "All I'm saying is, if you do have feelings for Princess Peach, you should ask her out. Heck, it's obvious she likes you too." Mario halted in his tracks. Luigi's face brightened with a glowing grin that was entirely his own. As self-assured as Mario liked to think he was at times, his brother had this quiet confidence he wished he could emulate. There was no one else's insight he trusted more than his. With his confidence building and reflecting back toward him, Mario felt a smile lift the corners of his mouth. "I do like her a lot," he admitted. Any embarrassment he thought he would have felt in that moment didn't come at all. If anything, it felt comforting to say it out loud to the person whose opinion he valued most. "She's real brave and kind and smart," and the teasing look in Luigi's eyes made Mario pause and collect himself. "Well, look, if I were to ask her out, I want to do it right. Maybe I could bring her a bouquet of flower power-ups." And as quickly as the idea sprang to his mind, he immediately found himself backtracking. Then again, she's lived here her whole life, so she must know every single power-up there is. I don't know. What do you think? "I think you're overthinking things a bit, and that's usually my job," Luigi said, evidently trying to lighten the pressure Mario was putting on himself. "Honestly, I don't think you need anything fancy to impress her. But if you want, I bet we could find something nice over by that item exchange place you told me about. I'll help you." Mario smiled. "You're the best." Luigi put a hand on his shoulder. "Who do you think I learned it from?" His smile only widened. 2-for-1 special on treasure chests," a blue-capped vendor toad said, holding up one of the coveted treasure chests for all to see. "Get 'em while supplies last, keys sold separately." "But what's inside the treasure chests exactly?" a yellow-capped toad asked. "Guess you won't know unless you buy a key," the vendor toad said with a wry grin. Mario and Luigi waited behind the indecisive toad with increasing impatience as Mario dragged gloved hands down his face while Luigi shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe this wasn't the best idea," Mario whispered to Luigi. "Hiya, Mario!" The two brothers screamed and jolted apart at the sight of none other than Mario's self-proclaimed best friend Toad springing up between them. "What you doing here? Looking for some neat power-ups to purchase?" Toad asked, earnest as ever, not even pausing long enough to wait for a response. "I just restocked on some myself. Never know when we'll need to go on another perilous adventure to save the entire kingdom." "And to save me," Luigi said. "Oh, of course, my best friend's significantly less brave younger brother," Toad said, his excitable grin never breaking even as Luigi's smile faltered. "Family's the most important thing there is, next to not dying." Mario managed a strained chuckle when all Luigi could do was throw him a quizzical glance. He gave his brother a reassuring pat on the back. "Toad's overzealous. You get used to it, sort of." "So what are you planning to buy for yourself, Mario?" Toad asked. Mario's hands slipped. "Oh, actually, it's not for me. It's for Princess Peach." "Ooh, really? Like a present?" Toad asked. "But for what occasion? It's not her birthday." Mario's heart tensed up. "Right, no. I mean, yes, I know that. It's not a birthday present. It's actually..." He slid a hand over the back of his neck, which prickled with rising heat as he searched for a sufficient excuse. "The thing is, I wanted to..." "Wait a second," Toad said, holding up his hand. "I know what's going on." Mario held his breath as Toad grinned and pointed at him with his walking stick. "You want to buy her a thank you gift for helping you save your cowardly brother from Bowser's wrath, don't you?" "Hey!" Mario exhaled a sigh of relief. "Yes." Then he quickly added, "And my brother's not cowardly." "Well, he did help you defeat Bowser. I guess that counts for something," Toad conceded with a shrug, and he promptly clapped his hands together. "So, a gift for our beloved princess. I'll be more than happy to help you pick out something extra special." That was when Luigi took it upon himself to step in, a bitterness building in his voice. "Yeah, that's real nice of you and all, tiny mushroom guy, but I've already offered to help him, so you can go ahead and leave." Is that so? Toad said with a hidden ire that mismatched his typically friendly manner. I didn't hear my best friend ask me to leave. That's because my brother is a really kind person who wouldn't want to hurt your feelings, Luigi said with a burgeoning anger Mario so seldom saw from him. But trust me, he doesn't need your help. Oh, really? Is that true, Mario? Mario flinched at the intensity of the matching heated gazes they tossed his way. This sparring match wasn't helping his nerves in the slightest. He needed to find a way to squash this escalating and frankly unnecessary rival before it got out of hand. All right, look, there's no need for the two of you to fight, he said in as much of an appeasing tone he could muster. I welcome both of your help. Sound good? Luigi and Toad exchanged a wary look. Do you think my brother is made of money? Do you think our princess isn't worthy of the finest items in our kingdom? Mario had slumped forward with his forehead resting against the shop booth shortly after Toad and Luigi started trading loud questions until they were practically in an all-out brawl. So much for squelching this rivalry. All I know is, Luigi said, I know my brother far better than you do, so your opinion isn't as important whether you want to believe that or not, you puny mushroom boy. Well, I know our princess better than anyone, Toad spat back, and I'm telling you, a warp block isn't a good enough present for her. So why don't you quit your yelling, you annoyingly tall green guy? I don't really see how that's an insult. Oh, don't worry, I can come up with plenty more. Guys! Mario snapped his head up and whirled around to glare at the two of them. This argument would quite possibly go on forever if he didn't finally intervene. I respect both of you, but Toad, I don't appreciate that you're being a jerk to my brother all because you're jealous that he and I are so close. And Lou, I can tell you're feeling a little insecure when you know deep down that there's no reason to be. Now please, stop squabbling already so I can figure out what I'm going to say when I ask out Princess Peach. A few other Toads walking by had stopped and turned, gaping at him in awe. Mario blinked, dumbstruck. Had he really just said that out loud? You wish to win the heart of our princess? Toad's typical enthusiasm had quelled to a subdued wonder, while the other Toads in the vicinity held their looks of fascination. Despite all their eyes on him, Mario simply looked at Luigi, who offered him a soft, encouraging grin that eased the embarrassment, quickly slithering up his neck and giving him the desperate urge to dash toward one of those pipes and transport him elsewhere. Mario, Toad said, pulling him back to reality, that's the sweetest thing I've ever heard. And if you truly wish to proclaim your love to our wonderful Princess Peach, may I humbly suggest, just be yourself. You're a winner in everyone's eyes. The sincerity of his kind words warmed Mario's heart in a way he could have never expected. A sniffle momentarily broke the feeling until he realized it had come from his brother, whose own eyes shined with tears. Toad's right. Now Toad looked up at Luigi, shocked for a second, but Luigi only smiled and placed an amiable hand on Toad's shoulder. Toad's face brightened with a big grin, and Mario couldn't help but grin too. Thanks, everyone. I think I'm ready now. Mario's stomach twisted and turned, worse than when he'd first tried a mushroom and had gagged at the earthy taste, vowing he'd never eat one again. Little did he know. He took a deep breath as he strode through the entranceway of the castle. Of course, the last time he was here, it had been under the urgent matter to save his brother, and he didn't exactly have time to appreciate the castle's lavish decor. Now he took in the shiny floors and gold chandeliers and swirling pink marble pillars. Solid construction, he couldn't help but note. It all provided a much-needed distraction and helped calm him down immensely. Mustache, how are you? And just like that, his heart started pounding. Well, so much for that. Hi, Peach. Princess? He was already screwing this up. Hi, Princess Peach. Her laugh echoed throughout the spacious hallway, lilting and soft. She emerged with her hair pulled back and a paint-splotched rag over her shoulder. You can call me Peach if you want. Okie dokie, Mario said in a higher-pitched octave he never even knew he could reach. He paused to clear his throat. Sorry, am I interrupting something? Nothing particularly important, Peach said. I was just painting. Would you like to see? He followed her up a red velvet staircase and through a pair of gold doors, only to stop short at the breathtaking sight before him. A mural of the Mushroom Kingdom, as vivid and colorful as the real thing. Been working on it for several weeks, Peach explained. It's one of my passion projects. Helps me relax when I'm not occupied with saving the kingdom and protecting my Toads from an evil fire-breathing turtle. It's incredible, Mario said. She met his eyes, a coy smile on her face. "So, to what do I owe the pleasure of your company?" she asked. "Oh," Mario said. The weight of the whole reason for coming here hit him with the blindsided intensity of getting hit by one of those blue shells. "Actually, the thing is, I sort of wanted to... Well, I wanted to see if you wanted to, maybe..." Ironically, Peach's steady, patient gaze only seems to heighten his nerves all the more. Without realizing it, he staggered backward, tripping over a paint can. Peach clasped one of his flailing hands in both of hers before he could hit the ground. "Are you okay, Mario?" He didn't think his heart could beat any faster, but here he was, staring before the princess with a deep look of concern on her face as she gently held his hand in hers. Before he could lose his nerve, he cupped his other hand around hers. "Peach, I think you're amazing, and I'd really like to take you out on a date sometime, if you want to." The silence that followed was amplified by the relentless thudding of his heartbeat. It could have been seconds or minutes or even hours that had gone by, and he genuinely wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. Finally, a beaming smile broke across Peach's face. "I'd love to." Mario's heart skipped a beat altogether as he smiled more brightly than he ever had before. "Really? Great. So it's a date. I look forward to it." Peach's smile softened, eyes sparkling. She really did take his breath away. The next thing he knew, she leaned down toward him and pressed her lips to his cheek. A radiant blush bloomed across his face before she'd even pulled away. "As do I." Mario was practically floating on a cloud when he left, welcoming the sunshine of the Mushroom Kingdom and his brother's eager grin. "How'd it go? She said yes, didn't she?" He barely had a chance to nod when Luigi scooped him up in a hug and cheered in triumph. "I knew it! See, I told you. Didn't I tell you she liked you?" "You did." "This is so exciting. I'm so happy for you two. Toad's gonna flip," Luigi said, only to pause. "Hey, you think there's any chance she's got a princess friend who's looking for somebody? And if so, I wonder how she feels about facial hair." He pondered for a moment, only to drop the thought. "Anyway, you think we should start planning your wedding now?" "Actually, no, what am I saying? It's way too soon. I'm getting ahead of myself." Mario chuckled warmly, getting swept up in the excitement in his brother's voice, making him ready to explore the possibilities of this new adventure that awaited. Alright, so that was A Heartfelt Quest. What's so funny is that my brother just texted me about this movie too. Too funny. He really liked it also. But, so just a little something as a post-movie story. To me, it just kind of seems like a fun thing to explore, a rivalry between Luigi and Toad. It just seems like that would happen, like, because they'd be competing for Mario's attention, and Toad would be jealous, and Luigi would be insecure and just kind of feeling inferior. I just think that would be a fun dynamic to play with, just kind of friction between them. And it kind of reminds me of, then in hindsight, it reminds me of the rivalry between Donkey and Puss in Boots in Shrek 2, because Donkey is jealous then of Puss in Boots getting closer to Shrek, and it's like a new animal sidekick, and then they're trading insults and stuff. So I just found that fun, and hopefully we'll see something like that in possible sequels, you know? And then, of course, at the forefront, though, is still the brotherly bond between Mario and Luigi, because, again, it's so sweet, it's so endearing, and truthfully, it is the heart of the movie, and I really, honestly loved that. So that is, like, definitely my favorite dynamic in this movie. But then again, like, the Mario and Donkey Kong stuff was pretty funny, and the Mario Peach stuff was sweet, and also I would like more Bowser and Luigi could have been really funny, you know, like just other things. I just want to say the main criticism I have of this movie is that once like Mario gets to Mushroom Kingdom, it's less so him driving the action of the story as the protagonist of the movie. It's then just becomes him going along on the journey and like kind of being told what to do, which makes sense in the form of the video games. And again, like you're playing the game and you're playing as Mario in the video games. But in terms of a narrative in this movie, it's just kind of like, okay, now he's in Mushroom Kingdom. He meets Toad. Toad tells him you have to go to see the princess. Then the princess meets him, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to take you to this obstacle course. Okay, now we're going to go to the Kongs. Like now we're doing this. Like it's less so him driving the action. And the other main criticism I just want to say in terms of a screenwriting standpoint is that Mario, as the protagonist, this is his journey, supposedly. That's, like, arguable, I would say. But, for argument's sake, he is the protagonist of this movie. That he doesn't go through a transformation in this movie. He starts off as wanting to prove himself, rightfully, because, again, he doesn't like being told that he can't do something. He wants to prove himself. And throughout that whole journey, he's just the same. if anything, Luigi goes through the transformation because he starts off really timid and scared and like always needing Mario to help him. But then he comes through and helps Mario out too. And then again, proving their bonds that we're better and as long as we're together, nothing can stop us. So if anything, it's like Luigi's journey, but that doesn't quite work, in terms of the narrative and everything. So just that criticism. And again, though, still like taking away that from myself, like as a, like my screenwriter brain and stuff, still I just enjoy it for all of the fun and like really the visuals and the joy that like you connect with in terms of playing the Super Mario Brothers games all these years and years for spanning generations. And one other thing I wanted to say is that I really loved the scene when they go to fix the bathroom faucet and then that dog is going after them because he's mad at Luigi for breaking his bone. And then like when the faucet starts slowly breaking again and the pipes start bursting and stuff, and Luigi getting increasingly nervous and worried, saying Mario, like increasingly like Mario, like I wonder, like I just love that scene, like them screaming, holding each other, and then like the dog goes flying, and of course in the background I got a whole big laugh, the dog hanging and like wrapping. My goodness, it was so funny. I really got a kick out of it. And that music playing, that like Carmen music, dun 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 dun. I like that whole orchestration of that scene was chef's kiss. Excellent, start to finish, if you ask me. Like that could just have been a whole little one act scene. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really liked it, but it's too funny. So where was I going with all this? Oh, what I was going to say was, I wonder how many times Charlie Day had said a variation of Mario throughout all of his recording sessions for this movie, because Luigi says Mario like at least a dozen times, give or take, maybe even more. So it must have been 10 times as many, like for each take of every intonation of Mario, Mario. Like, I just wonder that. Like, did he just like slew off a bunch of, okay, like give me like 10 Marios in a row. I always wonder stuff like that. I always get a kick out of the making of. I'd love to see that with this movie. Give me a little bit of behind the scenes voice recordings. I eat that stuff up. I'm telling you, I just love stuff like that. I'd love to see also some maybe deleted scenes, like things that changed in the storyline as like part of writing it. I'm really excited for more with this movie in terms of just like some behind the scenes goodies. I'm excited for all that, and just more with, we saw the little bit of Yoshi, so I'm so excited for more. I really, really can't wait, because the universe of Super Mario franchise is so vast and wondrous and huge, but also of course the Nintendo universe, so many other games we can explore. So most importantly though, I'm just really excited for more. And again, it was just a really, really fun movie going experience, and also with my little short story. So again, the Mario and Luigi bond. And then if you perhaps you have noticed at the very end with Luigi going on saying, hey, you think she's got a princess friend? That of course was a nod to Princess Daisy. Hopefully we'll get that in the sequel too, because just seeing Luigi being like a bumbling, nervous mess, I get a kick out of that. I love stuff like that. I did that a little bit with Mario, just for the sake of doing that in this little story toward Peach. But, because I find stuff like that utterly adorable, but just kind of always seeing a vulnerability of characters and seeing them like trip and be in love and like, all tongue-tied and stuff. I love stuff like that. So here's hoping for just cute things like that, so again, like despite its flaws, it truly was an absolute joy. And I'm happy it's seeing so much success. And I really, really can't wait for more. So let's go. And with that, that's going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. Check out storytellingsaga.com and send me any questions. I rarely screw up. I have once in a while. I'll leave that in, because in the spirit of Mario, when you screw up, you just keep going, you try again. So send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by emailing me at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Next episode, I'm so excited to say that I will be interviewing Eric Schwartz. He is the voice of Chaz on Hell of a Boss. Until then, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.